Cool. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. We'll have some people drip in throughout, and I want to, if you don't know Mahmoud or if you don't know myself, so my name is Benson Juarez, and I'm one of the owners of a software company called Privy. I've been a real estate investor for over 15 years, in the business for over 20 years. I'm currently a licensed real estate agent. I'm doing deals, and I met Mahmoud about 4 years ago, and we were both working with Jamil Damji. And I was helping Jamil with some stuff. He was helping me. And Mahmoud is one of Jamil's star students, I would say, and taught you a lot about the business. And, Mahmoud, you would come in and help him teach his group about the methods that you were having success with in your business, from, sourcing leads, follow up, your systematic approach. So you're an engineer by trade, right? And so
Yes,
you
sir.
have like this engineer brain that operates at a different level than a lot of us do. And I'm a more of a people person, right? I can get on the phone, I can talk to people, and I'm good at building relationships. But when it comes to systems and processes, that's where I start to drop the ball. And so fortunately for everyone, we've got people like you in the world who can connect the dots at a different level. I always think about that beautiful mind thing where they're just like seeing numbers float around in their head, and like Einstein too, and he would meditate and he would formulate, put
Yeah.
together formulas in his mind, E equals MC squared and all this stuff. Like, we need those people in this world. So I want to thank you for being brilliant and smart, and really putting yourself to task to like look at the entire process that you've done over the years and everything you've had success with, and just break it down for the average person who can take your system and implement it into their business. And one of the things we're going to talk about today, you guys, is how we spend a lot of time and money generating leads. So whether you're out, knocking on doors, or you're, buying lists, whether you're doing pay-per-click advertising, whether you're, doing, Facebook, social media posts, all that costs money. Even if you're not spending money, there's a cost to it, even if it's your own time, right? Time is your most valuable asset. So all that is very valuable. And what we typically do is if we're at a certain level, we'll dump them into a CRM. Some people just throw them into spreadsheets. You put them in a CRM, and you might have some reminders. Like if you call somebody, maybe you put a note. Maybe you have a reminder to call them in a certain number of days. If you're a little more advanced, you might have some triggers and some other automations built in. But even that's getting a little bit more advanced. But what I know about real estate investors is that we've got shiny object syndrome. And we also have a fireman's mentality. We are all about putting out fires. So whatever the problem or the solution that we need to find that's right in front of us, that's what we spend our time on. And especially if you're like a solopreneur, if you got a small team, we often generate more leads and things to do than we can really manage effectively. And so we're spending time on the newest lead that comes in, spending time negotiating with the people that want to talk to us right now. And we're spending time, generating leads, because, a lead machine takes momentum. Like, it takes some time to get going. And then once it's going, if you stop it or slow it down, you're going to lose money when you start it up again. So a lot of people just keep it running. And what's that doing? It's filling the coffers with new leads. And then what we start to do is neglect everything that we've done in the past. So all those old leads that we have sitting in the CRM, they're not getting the proper nurturing and follow up. And depending upon the source, but I've been doing some research. We all know that it costs way more to generate a new lead than it does to nurture and close one that we've already got. And depending on the source you look at, it's anywhere from 5 to 10 times more to generate a new lead. But yet we still do it. On the contrary, all that money that we've spent, we're basically letting it just drip through the cracks. So as you let leads cool down from that initial lead generation, they're starting to become less valuable. And at some point, we call them dead, right? Because we're not getting a response. But what Mahmoud's going to talk about today is why he's come up with a really good process to make sure that your leads don't get so cool that they die. And this, all the systems around it to be able to nurture those and turn them into closings that will actually pay us money. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mahmoud Isa. He's the founder of Nanoscape Consulting and longtime friend. Mahmoud, thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me, Benson. It's been an honor and a privilege to be your colleague and your peer and your friend for about 4 years now. And again, thank you. Much appreciated for having me on here this evening. So
You got
yeah,
it.
yeah, welcome everybody. Thank you guys for coming in. Yeah, we're going to be talking about a very special topic here today that's relevant to all of us in the business world. And we're going to be talking about deal conversion, particularly about dead leads. And that's, the topic of this, this session here. It's to turn our lead graveyard, what we call dead leads, into predictable monthly closings. And, a lot of us have a certain idea of what it means to have a lead be dead or not worth pursuing. For me, I define it as being a lead that has been sold, that has been sold to somebody else, and meaning it's off the table. That's it. So if you've submitted offers and they've gotten rejected and the seller was like 50, 60, 70 grand away from you on price, and they seem like they're not super motivated to sell, guess what? That's not a dead lead. That is a deal that you could be cashing in on in about a couple months of doing some really solid follow-up. So let's get into that. So I can, if you've been in the business long enough to actually talk to people, if you've been in the business long enough to generate leads, and maybe you bought some lists, some direct to seller lists. Maybe you've done some, MLS agent outreach and gotten, distress listings that way. Maybe you've called a bunch of agents and they've sent you some off market deals to look at, right? If you've been doing it for a while, I can challenge you to tell you there are probably around 3 to 5 deals right now in your CRM or in your pipeline that if you were to follow up with, you would eventually get those deals assigned. So if this sounds familiar, you are not alone. You're spending thousands chasing new leads while the old ones collect dust, aka you've given up on certain leads, and there's like a certain attractiveness to buying new ones, to having that first time you ring the phone on, a brand new lead and being like, okay, what if they're ready to sell right now, instantly, today, right? Very short term. So we think like that. We're spending thousands to get that instant close, and we let the old ones collect dust. We let them kind of just sit back in the CRM, not really benefiting us. Also, there's this thing where it's like every, like a dead lead in your CRM. Truth is, it's a deal someone else is going to get at some point, right? Like if you think about every time you've called a lead for the first time, they've probably had other wholesalers or investors reach out to them. But here you are talking to them. So technically, and I really want you guys to grasp this concept. Whenever you call a lead for the first time, that is a new lead for you. But maybe that lead has likely had way many more people reach out to that lead to try to close them. So technically, what you reaching out to that new lead is actually follow-up being done on somebody else's lead, else's outreach, right? So a lot of times if you call somebody and call a brand new lead, a seller lead or an agent lead, and they're ready to move forward with you, and and that always feels good, right? The very first time, um, you make an offer, it gets accepted, boom, under contract. So many people have warmed that lead up for you, and you have closed it, which is cool because you got to piggyback off of other people's outreach. But the same thing is happening to you on the flip side, right? You call a lead and you submit your offer after, you call them, you get the major repairs, you build rapport, you start comping, coming up with your offer number, you submit your offer, and then you call them back, you renegotiate, you try to close them, and they're not quite ready yet. And then you forget about the lead. When they become ready, another wholesaler calls them, and then they get it under contract because of the fruits of your labor. So why shouldn't you be the one that benefits from your own outreach? So every lead in your CRM, someone's going to close it. It's going to sell. Motivated seller or any seller will sell. It's just a matter of to who. And I want you to kind of evaluate if this is you as well. You rebuild your pipeline every 90 days because nothing sticks, right? You're taking a look at the deals that you have on the board, and you're like, what's the solution? New outreach. Start the pipeline over from scratch. Let's forget about the old, in with the new. And you're busy every day. You're rebuilding the same thing over and over, right? You guys know that whole feeling where it's like, okay, I need to make money. I need to do a deal. Let me go and start doing all this outreach, and then going ahead and, submitting all these offers. Okay, cool. I got a deal under contract. I'm going to spend time selling it. You sell the deal, and guess what? You're left with a dry pipeline. There's no automation happening. There's no continuous system. It's like batch sort of thing. It's like a batch style. It's like, okay, we do it in batches. I do outreach, I do a deal, and then I restart the outreach, and then I close a deal, and it continues like that. So the truth is, you don't need more leads. You just need a machine that follows up relentlessly, right? So the key to making sure that you are taking advantage of all those, dead leads, or the leads in your system that you haven't closed yet, the ones that have potential, is that you are following up relentlessly. Because right now it might be a no today, but tomorrow it could be a yes. And I want you to think about this as well. If you have ever submitted an offer, right, and someone has said no, I want you should always think about your own, how you would behave in that situation. So let's say, some of you guys are really good at comping and running numbers. Let's say it was your house that you were trying to sell. Okay. It was your house. You ran numbers on it, and you're like, a buyer is going to pay $375,000 for my property. Let's say you listed it and you wanted to sell your house. Would you list it at 375K? Of course not. Why would you? You just listed it, right? You're gonna wait. You're gonna, like, take your time, spend a week, 2 weeks, a month, and then maybe reduce the price by 10K, 20K. But eventually there's going to come to a point where it's going to be like, oh, I have to sell now. Okay, now I have to sell. And then you're probably going to end up selling around the price that you thought it would have been in the first place, right? So a lot of times we have to give sellers time to catch up, and we do that by following up with them, just so that we stay in their ear, ready to jump in and make a deal happen with them. So we have to stay following up. Okay. And leads don't die, they get ignored. Again, an ignored deal is a lost deal. Again, let me know if any of this is you, and you guys should be listening and seeing if you identify with any of this. You're generating a ton of leads, but the follow-up is chaotic. Your team has blind spots that are quietly costing you 5 to 6 figures monthly. VAs are guessing instead of executing a real process. Nobody knows which leads were touched, missed, forgotten. Every ignored lead becomes a deal that someone else closes. So that's the point. What when you're trying to actually do follow up, it's difficult, because one thing is what we just said before is we need to follow up, but the actual follow up, if you don't have a very efficient way to do it, the more leads you have, the more difficult it is. If you have to follow up once a week with somebody, but you have 300 somebodies, good luck fitting that into your schedule. And so a lot of times we have teams that struggle through that exact situation.
Hey, Mahmoud, I got a question for you on the follow up. So follow up isn't just dialing them out of the blue and hoping they
No.
come on the phone. Like there's intent about what happens if they pick up the phone, right? So they should be like reading old notes to figure out what the last conversation happened. Where did they leave it last time? What's their objection, and how do you bring that up again and overcome it? So is that all part of the process here? Is the follow up is intentional?
The follow up has to be intentional. It's like, for example, like let's say, for instance, and we're talking specifically about rejected and declined offers, right? In this scenario, people that told you no. Um, it's the idea is you want to reach back out and you want to say something like, are you open to revisiting numbers? It's been a while. Or, where do we where do we need to be to make something work? Has anything changed since then? Right. So it's really about um, extending an arm and saying, hey, like, I'm happy to look at this again with you. I'm happy to see where your head's at and where my head's at, and see if we can come up with something cool that could work for both of us together. It's reinstating a collaboration to discuss something, especially when time moves by. I mean, anything can happen in 30 days, 45 days. Life happens in that amount of time. And so a lot of times you talk to a completely different version of the seller 45 days later than when you had met them. Markets move, right? Houses, like go up in value, lose value. Life happens. And so a lot of times we also have to acknowledge that, their life changes. And by you showing up, a lot of times people will tell me, hey, like, because Mahmoud, you following up 13 times with the same seller for an entire year straight that told you no, that's spam. They're gonna reply, they're gonna say, type, oh, like a stop, I want to unsubscribe. No, that never happens. And many times we become actually kind of acquaintances, and they're happy that I'm reaching out and I'm checking in and I'm seeing if, I could assist them with that, with the property that they have, and I'm not being pushy. I'm not being pressing. I'm just saying, like, hey, like, where's your headspace on with this right now? That's the real approach. It's just being somebody who cares enough to show up and reach out to them. And what's interesting is whenever you reach out to a seller or an agent for the first time, a lot of times they could be combative. It's like, oh, another one of those. But if you're reaching out 8 months later, a lot of times the tune of those conversations become different. They start putting their guard down because, like, wow, you've been following up with me for 8 months. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. Like, you thought about this. And so a lot of times they feel like, okay, I'm ready to, discuss price now, and maybe we can kind of work something out. And I'll be the first person when they become, ready to kind of accept the fact that their house wasn't worth as much as they thought it would be, or when they become extra motivated to sell. And, that's super, it's a service, follow up really is a service. And, when we ignore our leads, we're setting up someone else to provide that service, because it's follow up is always happening, whether I call an agent or a seller and then Benson goes ahead and calls them 2 weeks later. You're following up on a conversation I set up, right? You're benefiting from the original conversation that I had. And so follow-up's always happening. So this illusion that we need to have new leads, it's just an illusion. I mean, following up is always getting us closer to a win.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Yes. And yeah, so just to kind of recap that, more leads is not equivalent to more deals. So, if you ever felt like you're increasing your lead flow, but that lead flow didn't increase your deal flow, it's exactly what we talked about. More leads just add more noise when your system can't handle the ones you already have. Fancy CRM doesn't fix broken habits or poor systems. And, you're tracking deals, you're not tracking performance, and then new marketing campaigns are just pouring water into a leaky bucket. Bottom line, you don't need more leads. You need to convert the ones you already have. Focus on the leads that you already have and nurture them. I would rather have, work on nurturing the same 100 leads than, getting 1,000 leads and calling them once and making one offer and never calling again. I would have more luck with 100 leads following up over time and closing deals than having 1,000 leads and just calling them once. Okay, so yes, follow-up isn't to do, it's a machine. Now we're getting more into the technical side of things. Obviously, in order to be able to do this type of follow-up at a large scale, you're going to need to have some firepower behind. You're going to need to have tools. You're going to need to have some heavy equipment. So I remember when I was getting started in this business back in 2020, I was, doing outreach out of a Google Doc and a spreadsheet, right? I would go on Facebook or I'd go on Zillow and I'd write a bunch of addresses and phone numbers down, and then I would call them, and I would keep everything, my entire pipeline, organized in spreadsheets and Google Docs. And it worked. It was great. And I was able to follow up as well. I mean, it wasn't that, difficult. But what happened, what I realized very quickly was that, there were these other guys that had CRMs and they were doing so many more deals than I was. And, but back then a CRM seemed, it felt like a luxury item, like right, having a system, having automations, having these pipelines, tracking all the stages of the deals, like all of that seemed like a luxury item because I was doing deals. I didn't really care too much for the whole CRM thing. I was like, that seemed too hard. That seems too much technology. I don't care. I'm just going to focus right here on, my spreadsheets and do my thing. And I got by until I, realized I was losing a ton of money. I'll talk about that later in the presentation, but I got by. But those days don't exist anymore. Nowadays, with the amount of competition there is in real estate and in wholesaling, et cetera, and lead generation, real estate lead gen, the amount of competition, CRM and systems, they're not a luxury item anymore. They are a necessity. You need them for survival. Like you need them to actually be able to make money in this business. And I've never said that until the last year and a half. I mean, it's brutal out there. I think one of the KPI stats we had for agent outreach was 400 actual conversations with real estate agents to close one contract. And, that can't scale unless you can have several conversations at once and have automations to assist you. So we're in the era where we need a solid CRM database in order to function. So automation plus accountability is exponential revenue. So you need to have, if you combine your self accountability to actually, keep track of your appointments, show up on time for your morning routine of calling sellers, you combine that with automations that will exponentiate your revenue. So if you're already a closer and you kick ass and you're a hard worker and you show up and you grind it out, combine that with a solid system and you'll be invincible, unstoppable. Yeah, stop chasing new leads, start reviving the ones you already paid for. And yeah, purpose of systems to make follow-up user-friendly, automatic, and reliable. Follow-up must run without you, or you will always be the bottleneck. And that's the fact. Follow-up is one of those things where we can't keep track of it on a calendar, because a lot of times I've got 500 leads that I need to follow up on, like rejected offers, like people who said no. At any given time, I have about 500. And then at the end of this month, I'm going to have another 200 offers that, that might have gotten rejected. And so over time, you're going to have way more people to follow up with. And you need to automate that. You need to automate just the follow-up itself, the initial contact of the follow-up. But then whatever the seller says back to you, then you show up and you call them or you text them back. It's just to kickstart the conversation. And yeah, what would happen if your follow-up ran 24/7 without your involvement? I'll tell you what would happen. You'd do more deals. Okay, so a little bit of story time, as I was saying before. But when I started, thought CRM would fix everything. Didn't. I was rebuilding pipelines every couple months. And yeah, it was, I was not in a very organized place. I remember I would get to a point where, my revenue would slow down just because I didn't have time to comp everything. I didn't have time to follow up with people. I didn't have time to make a list of, what my biggest priorities were, because I was getting like 30, 40 deals sent to me by other wholesalers per day. I had agents sending me like 10 deals per day. I was hammering it out, but I couldn't get past a certain benchmark of volume, right? Like I was doing great, but I wanted to scale, and my leads were not the problem. It was how I was tapping into them. It was me looking into this giant kind of like sandbox and trying to find small little traces of diamond. And it was hard. And it was only until I decided to kind of just get a system and start learning how to, create an actual organized pipeline that things started to actually make sense. So now I want to show you guys a little bit about what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you guys a live demo of what a actual deal conversion system, a follow-up system is supposed to look like, so that you guys can, see and imagine what it could look like for you. So I'm just going to go over this real quick. So in the live demo, going to show you the following functionality. So the purpose of, or one of the main things the system will do is it'll turn total chaos into a clean, trackable, money-producing pipeline, trigger the perfect follow-up automatically, reactivate old leads that you forgot existed, and show every text, call, email in one place, and then quietly revive dead leads in the background and turn them into deals. So this is where you start printing revenue from the leads you already have. So I'm about to start my live demo. So first, I want to bring your attention to the screen that I have up here. Benson, is my pipeline showing up well on your end?
Yep, okay. I got it.
Awesome. So for you guys who have never used a CRM before, this CRM, it's called Go High Level. It is it's like a builder CRM, if that makes sense. So like when you buy it, it's kind of blank. You can't really do anything. It's kind of like an empty spreadsheet. But if you build it and customize it and learn how to program and code with it, you can turn it into a CRM that functions. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit about how I like to set up and go about designing the setup in general. So you guys can kind of have an idea of how to implement this in your business so that you can solve your, or you can start recovering more revenue from your leads by following up. And again, scaling that follow up. Okay. So this over here is called a pipeline. Okay. A pipeline, meaning it's the start of the lead's journey all the way to the end of the lead's journey. What do I mean by that? The beginning of a lead's journey is that it's a new lead. Okay. Brand new. Haven't talked to them yet. Don't even know if the number is actually their number. And then at the end of the pipeline is an accepted offer. Okay. We go under contract. So I can take, even if I have 5,000 leads in my system, I can organize them in this pipeline and I can track exactly what's happening with them. Like I'm looking out of a helicopter into a city and I can see everything. So this allows me to add 100 times more workload to my plate because I am putting everything in this pipeline and seeing where it is and just treating it like a game board, guys. We have to gamify things, right? For me, what this allows me to do also is, a lot of times we can get sick and tired of our workflow, of our day-to-day, of doing the same thing, the same routine. But we don't get tired of playing video games. We don't get tired of going to the gym, right? I organize this in a way that my brain actually releases dopamine and I get excited when I'm working. And so it literally, I just want to move pieces down the game board. I want to get closer to a check. I want to move one lead, one step closer from underwriting to send offer. I want to go to accepted offer and win, right? And as many deals as I can, leads get to accepted offer. That's where the money is, right? You want to go under contract and you want to close. So this is a sample here. This is an acquisitions pipeline that I have. This first pipeline, this first stage is new lead. So what happens here is I import all of the leads that I have into my system. So let's say I have a list of 1,000 leads. I'll upload them into here. And then, and I can actually demonstrate this for you. So for instance, if I were to add something right now and I were to add myself, I have myself as an alias, Jim. And I were to put an opportunity name, a property address. So let's say 12 Railroad Avenue. Okay. New lead. Create. Okay. Let's refresh the page and see what just happened. Okay. All right. Give it a moment. And look, it created an opportunity card for me right here. So it added my this leads Jim, we'll say Jim's property, 12 Railroad Avenue here. What else did it do? I can come into my conversations and I can see that as this loads, that a message has been sent immediately. And I got the message. Just give me a second to load. It says, hey, is this Jim? My name is Mahmoud, and I had some questions about your listing, 12 Railroad Avenue. Can we get on a call today? So all I have to do is drop my leads, import them into the system, and then everybody gets that message, right? We're confirming identity. Hey, is this Jim? So if it's not Jim, I could say, no, this is Tom. And then, we can go ahead and move them into a different bucket so that we can re-skip trace them. But it says, hey, is this Jim? My name is Mahmoud, and I had some questions about your listing, 12 Railroad Avenue. Can we get on a call today? Simple. And so if I have a giant list of 1,000 people, instead of cold calling them all, I can go ahead and just drop them into new lead. And then, the 400 people out of that 1,000 that it that are actual accurate numbers, they're going to respond to me. And the subset of them that actually want to sell their property are going to tell me that they, are open to selling their property. So cool. So what I did now is I can act as Jim and say, I replied back. So let's get back into our conversation. So this is our pipeline view of the CRM, right? This is where we see our stages of where everything is. And okay, let's see here. You click on this, it should pull up the conversations, but all right. Look, yes, sure. So Jim replied, yes, sure. He's open to getting on a call. So what just happened right now is the system understood that and then moved our lead into contacted info call time. Cool. Now they replied. We've confirmed it's Jim, and now it's time to get on a call with Jim and see if I can get some more information about 12 Railroad Avenue so that I can do my underwriting, comp it, try to come up with an offer. Make sense? So at this point, I can go ahead and call Jim and ask him about the major repairs, ask him if he can send pictures, ask him if, like why he's interested in selling, what his timeline is. And once I have all that information, I'll tell Jim, awesome, cool. Can I call you back later today once I've run numbers? And then he says, yes, awesome. Cool. So now I can just drag it into underwriting. So now I know that this is a list of properties I have to comp, right? And I can just go ahead and comp these properties and come up with an offer. And then once I do it, I can put it into here, which will tell me that I need to send the offer. And then I can go ahead and send it. And let's say, for instance, once I send the offer and which is, by the way, a verbal and a written. So I can call Jim back and tell him about my offer, negotiate, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, let's say he said no, for example, or let's say he said yes. Let's say our offer gets accepted. Then all I have to do is move this card over into offer accepted. And then I just have to write up the contract. And then boom, I kept track of it. But let's say he said no. Do I move him into dead lead? Right? Or DNC, do not call? Nope. I can just say this is a hot lead and I want to follow up. So, and I accelerated this timeline, but normally what would happen is if they were a hot lead and they rejected your offer, I drag it into here and then it would wait 7 days, a week, and then it would reach back out to Jim and see if he would reconsider. So let's see what that looked like right now as I accelerated it. I sent, hey, Jim, did you end up selling 12 Railroad Avenue? If not, I think we can make something work if you have flexibility on your end as well. Very nice thing for me to say. Did you end up selling it? If not, we can make something work if you have flexibility on your end as well. So that's what gets sent out to Jim.
Hey,
and
Mahmoud, I want to be clear here because I think I'm seeing it the right way. These are all automations, right? So the simple fact that you moved it into hot follow up told the system to automatically send a message, an SMS. So you've got this whole thing designed out, right? There's a whole funnel that's designed on, you move it to a new stage, it triggers an event to happen. This is why you can operate this like you've got a team of 10 people, because you don't have people doing all this. It's like having a team of 10 virtual assistants doing all this stuff for you.
100%. That's it. I mean, I can make 50 offers if I wanted, and 49 of them said no, and I can just drag them all at the same time into hot follow-up, and they will all get, put into a follow-up campaign, follow-up automation that I built and set up.
And so some of these triggers are automatic too. So like when Jim replied to you on that first thing, that told the system that we have a response, and it automatically moved it for you and sent the next and changed the stage.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. The system noticed that Jim responded back, and it took him out of the new lead stage because it identified him as no longer being a new lead, and it put him into contacted, and told us it's time to do the info call. And that's the level of user friendliness that allows us to operate in bulk. And when we're trying to do deals, we need to operate in bulk so that we can get as much traction as we possibly can, so that we can increase our odds of doing 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 deals per month. It comes from efficiency. And a system like this is just dragging casually down a game board is what does that. And to be clear, hot follow-up, warm follow-up, cold follow-up. Why do I have these here separate? Hot follow-up is for sellers that are high in motivation and we are close on price. Our offer price is close to their asking price. Warm is we're either close on price, but they're not very motivated, or we're very far on price and they're highly motivated to sell. And so I call that a warm lead. And then we put it into here. And what that will do is it will follow up less frequently and less increments. Like maybe, for example, every 3 weeks instead of every 2 weeks, for example, to see if they're interested in restarting the conversation. And then cold follow-up are people who are we are very far in price on, and they're not very motivated. I'll follow up once every 45 days for a year if I have to. Very fine. And that'll just, let them know I exist. You want to sell? I'm here. And, if anything changes in our conversation, they reply back and they become warm, I can just drag them back into warm, and the conversation will continue organically as they are now a warm lead. I built a switch system where a hot lead can turn into cold, and it'll organically move them into cold to warm, cold to hot. And we can just keep them in these pipeline stages, these automations, for as long as they tell us that the house is still available and they haven't sold it yet. Wow. And this becomes powerful. It's a silent lead engine, right? The way that I set up follow-up is I believe follow-up should be a lead source. It's a lead creator. We nurture our leads and we can keep them in there for a year. And I build it in such a way that we don't even harass them. It's not even like, it doesn't sound spammy. The way that the frequency, it's all about the frequency of how frequently you message people and the tone that you have. I've got hundreds of leads that have been in my pipeline for, over some around like 24, 36 months, 2-3 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the idea, is like, we also want to, by setting things up this way, we feel like we've done our part. If we make an offer and they say no, we feel like there's still hope. We just slide them over. And now what's our job? Our job is just to, if they reply to one of our automations and say like, yeah, what's your new offer? Then I can just go ahead and call them and restart the negotiation. And that's how you get somebody to be 80K away from price. And then 3 weeks later, they're 60K away from price. And then a month later, you guys are just 10K up, 10K off. Maybe you can go up 5K in your offer. They can go down 5K in their asking. And then you guys can make a deal, right? So that's the power here of having an amazing follow-up engine. So, but yeah, in general, I mean, hey, if it's a wrong number, I can drag them into skip trace, and that's a list of leads I need to skip trace. If they no longer want to be contacted, I can just drag them into DNC. When I drag them into DNC, do not call, that automatically stops them from being followed up by any of the automations, right? Like, I can just drag somebody into DNC and then they'll disappear from hot follow-up immediately and they won't be contacted again, because we don't want to have to forget to turn something off. And then 2 weeks later, someone who said, stop texting me, gets another text. And so everything is built out like this. Very simple, very clean. And you know, this stops the follow-up problem. It's a lead revival system, right? We want to revive our leads. And this works for on-market agent outreach, off-market agent outreach, direct to seller, PPC, you know, direct to wholesaler, micro flipping, any type of lead gen that you could possibly imagine. This concept works with it. And I build all of these systems by hand, and I design them with the people that I build them for and for myself, and we create things that are going to offer these types of solutions. So yeah, that's just a little bit about how the power of leveraging CRM and automations can dramatically increase your lead recovery through, covering leads that you thought were lost, which are actually still leads. So, yeah. Okay, so that was our demo. Does anybody in the audience have any questions so far about, if anyone has any questions about anything that they just saw, anything that they want kind of clarification on whatsoever with the demo? Again, this training is for you guys so that you can benefit from this and, build your systems similarly. So I'm here if anybody has any questions up until this point. And if not, I will be happy to move forward and continue. All right, cool. If nada, then we shall proceed. So I would like to let all of you know that, as I mentioned before, in addition to me building these systems for myself and for my teams, etc., I do build systems for my clients at Nanoscape Consulting. All of our clients, a bunch of them need, they come in either needing us to modify their existing system setup, their existing CRM, or help build them a brand new one that does this sort of, follow-up capability. But that's what we do, right? We take a look at Nanoscape. We take a look at everybody's operations, at everybody's systems, at everybody's, team structure they're hiring, but mainly systems. We like looking at systems and seeing and mapping out what their exact specific business model is, and seeing how their current system produces that solution. And then we go in and we make the tweaks to modify their system so that they can have highly efficient capabilities for follow-up, for outreach, for nurture, for just organization and peace of mind. I mean, that's what we do. So, if any of you guys would be interested, and if you guys are currently, real estate professionals that are, either just starting to get in the business, or you've been in it for a while, and, maybe you have a system, maybe you don't, maybe your current system is just, you bought one pre-built and you don't know what the bells and whistles are, whatever it is, I want to work with you and I want to help you out. And I want to turn what you have into something as, mind pleasing as what you just saw. So this is just a couple of the things that we do. We will meet, we create an entire map of your entire process around the specific details of your business model. And then we build a system around that process. Around not just the process of your business model, but around you as a person. I ask questions, I figure out your personality type, and then I build it with certain personality quirks in mind. We build all the automations custom with you while you're on screen with me. I build all the automations with you while you watch, because it's a lot less intimidating to use something that you saw being built in front of your eyes. We install all of the automated messages, and I help guide you into what each of those automated messages need to be and for how long do they go. Like, for example, once every few weeks for a year, 6 months. It depends on the particular scenario, right? And so many factors. And I help you guys out with optimizing and maximizing that. Install all the SMSs, email templates, and even plug in your agent and buyer call scripts into the CRM themselves so that you always, know what to say when you're talking to an agent, talking to a buyer. We validate your phone numbers for deliverability. So it's kind of like we help you set up the A2P, or it's kind of like, how T-Mobile is your personal phone carrier. There's phone carriers for CRMs too. And right now they're very difficult to sort of set up, and they reject you a lot when you apply. And I help you, figure out how to do that within minutes. Help you create a small homepage, preliminary website, fix bugs, logic gaps, bottlenecks in your CRM, anything that's tricky, anything you don't understand. We help implement advanced follow-up sequences. We make sure just nothing slips again. You stop ignoring your leads. And yeah, we tune everything to your exact business model. So that's the type of thing we do here at Nanoscape. So yeah. This is just kind of an example. Let me zoom in of an automation that a client sent me recently. This was part of a pending decision campaign where he was on a closing call with a customer, or with a seller, and the seller was like, I need to think about it, right? Those words that we hate to hear, I'll think about it, that we think secretly mean no. And I had an automation that's job was to try to, while they're thinking about it, nudge them into saying yes. And this is what the automation said. Some folks I work with decide quickly, others take time. Where do you feel you're at with address? And then he's like, that will work, ready to get going. Boom. We said something, we nudged him, and got the deal under contract, and he closed it a week later. Another one. And this is for a rejected offer. Like the seller said, no way. And then a week later, this came out. What would make selling address a yes for you right now? And he's like, if the offer is $225. He went ahead, called him, and brought him down $5,000 and got it under contract and closed him just like that. The amount of deal recovery that comes from lead nurturing is absolutely insane. If you guys saw the numbers, it would blow your mind. And yeah, these are just a couple of people that build systems for that had a couple of words to share. Jeremy was probably the most recent one of these, so I'll probably just read his. Highly recommend working with Nanoscape. I run Nanoscape, but yeah, with Mahmoud. I cannot believe he only charges $2,000 for what he does. This new CRM is going to probably make my business hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. Super communicative, easy to work with, nothing but good things to say about the whole experience. And yeah, these are all just people that they're sharing how much money they're made. Within just a few weeks, we have $70,000 in escrow. And the reason she was able to get $70,000 in escrow after a few weeks is because those leads were already in her system. I just had her reach out to them and follow up with her long enough to actually get them to agree to the number that they already wanted. That's it. It's just about following up and reaching out. And when we do it in an automated way, I'm not about to call 400 people to follow up with them. I'd rather just slide my finger and then follow up with 400 people at once and see which ones actually are ready to meet me where I need to be. And yeah, so kind of bundled up. I have a special offer for you guys today that I kind of want to get to, as far as potentially working with you guys to help install the same sort of system in your businesses so you guys can maximize and extract the earnings out of your leads. So I'm going to call it the follow-up machine. It's also known as the CRM Integrated Bootcamp. It's got two names. So it's a CRM that actually makes sense. We build your entire system so everything is organized, simple, easy to use. Your whole lead to close process is mapped out. So like I said, we literally map your process. automated follow-up for everything. We create all of the text, emails, reminders, all of that stuff. And yeah, make it user friendly. And take care of all the tech stuff. And you really just have to use it. I'll build it. You guys will use it. And yeah, we'll actually make sure that you guys know how, not just how to use it, but how to train your team to use it as well. So we do that as well. So yeah, if this resonates with you, then this will be very helpful. So you're losing deals. You don't even know you lost. A CRM alone will not fix your problems. Follow-up breaks without a true system behind it. And yeah, DIY costs years of mistakes and thousands in missed revenue, meaning that I spent years using CRMs before I finally figured out how to build them this way and go behind the the hood and actually design the automations. And as someone with years of experience, I can definitely cut you short of that learning curve, help you out. And yeah, the machine fixes what breaks most operators. So I'm essentially going to show you what I wish someone built for me just right off the bat in 2020. I would have made a ton more money back then. I was 25, and yeah, it would have been nice. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, we will install your follow-up machine, and it's not time-based, right? So it's not like you get a few sessions with me. I will be meeting one-on-one with you until everything is running perfectly. No bugs, no issues. It'll be me in front of you guys, one-on-one until it works. So yeah. And yeah, so right now, trying to get December, kind of the before Christmas crew coming in. That's why we have a special kind of pre-holiday offer right now. We've got 5 spots left. And because I try to do such a thorough job for everybody, I cap it at 10 installs per month, 10 builds. Yeah, can go to do nanoscape.org/services page to go ahead and reserve your spot. It's called CRM Integrated Bootcamp. That's the name of the system, because there's a lot of different offers and systems on that page. This one is CRM Integrated Bootcamp. And yeah, special surprise for you guys. If you use the promo code Omni500, you get a whopping $500 off. So this is already a $5,000 service that I provide, usually for 5,000. I had for pre-holidays already knocked it down to $3,000 off to 2K, and you guys now get an additional $500 off. So you're spending way less than half. And again, to build the system that, once it's built, will forever change the future and operation of your business. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Please just get it before it sells out. And yeah, so and by the way, this is really just going to be up for like a day or two. I haven't decided when I'm going to take it off, but just use it, get 500 off, and yeah, get into the CRM Integrated Bootcamp. And for any of the other things on that page, if you just look around and see there's anything else that you might want to get, I have like there's another code called Omni5 that you'll get an additional 5% at checkout on everything. That one ends in 48 hours. And yeah, and by the way, sorry, when you use the promo code, you go on the website, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for CRM Integrated Bootcamp. This is what it's going to show up as on the site, and you just click buy now, and you get it. And yeah, sign up today. I have another surprise for you guys, and get an extra $5,000 in bonuses. So for everybody who signs up today, I'm going to give you my personal off-market agent outreach script for reaching out to agents to get them to send you solid off-market properties. And this is a script I've been building for 5 years now. Same with my MLS on-market agent outreach cold call script. Same with my buyer intake script. And same with doing a full scale analysis of your entire wholesale operation and your scaling goals, and a one-on-one comping and underwriting workshop where I show you personally how I comp properties and determine offer numbers so that you're giving solid offers. And I'm going to give you a complimentary VA sourcing for your first sales rep hire. That means you ever want to hire a VA, I will find you one and I won't even charge you for finding one. You get all that. That's for $5,000. You're getting that today if you sign up and through that link. And yeah, get yourself on the path to changing your future with real estate investing and lead generation. So in summary, you don't need more leads. You need a machine. Imagine waking up to new appointments every morning. Imagine your team knowing exactly what to do. Imagine every lead you've ever generated being reactivated automatically. And that's what we're getting. So thanks for staying till the end. And as a reward for staying till the end, you get a free audit session. So essentially, I'll just meet with you and talk to you a little bit about your business, give you some tips, and maybe give you a little bit of direction as to, what sort of products or services that we have you can take advantage of as well if you want a more personalized experience. So yeah, book your consulting session. And we will take care of you guys. So
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I was looking at the bonuses there. Those bonuses are worth way more than $5,000.
I know.
It's but you got to put a number on it. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, how do you even put a number on some of these things? Because like your scripts, like if you say the right thing in one closing discussion and you make 10 grand, well, that script is worth way more than whatever you put right here. So this was
I made
awesome, man.
hundreds of thousands off of each of these scripts personally.
Oh
So
yeah, just saying the right thing to nudge people in the right way at the right time is so invaluable. So that's great. I didn't know you're going to do those bonuses, but you guys, this is amazing offer. You saw the CRM, the automations. I wish that mine did that. It doesn't. Um, I do use Go High Level, and I've got some stuff, but it's not nearly as good as that. And honestly, I wouldn't even know how to wire it up. I remember when I was trying to set up my SMS, it was a freaking nightmare. And hooking up, what's the call? The call one I can't remember now. It's got it looks like a little target, but it was a complete nightmare trying to get all that set up with the compliance stuff and the back and forth. I actually had to hire somebody to do it, and it was a nightmare. So you guys, this is really good. Just all the experience. You could maybe go and try to figure some of this out on your own. It wouldn't be all of this. You're going to pull your hair out. It is not worth your time to do it. So focus on what you do well and do that. And then have Mahmoud and his team come in and handle all this for you. And then it's just there working in the background for you. And then you can again go back to focusing on what you do well, which is making those phone calls, talking to people, closing deals, and showing up at closing, collecting checks. Right. That's the whole point of this thing. And so don't get caught up in all of this. Sometimes people get analysis paralysis. He said he's going to set it up to the point to where it's completely finished and working perfectly. And at that point, you can start to run with it, and he'll be available for questions as well. So this is
the
just
thing about it too, this is the with this services, I build it with the people. So it's not like I design it in the background and it's like, boom, here you go. Like they're watching me wire every single thing together. So by the time we're finished, if they want to go ahead and change a text message up and tweak it, they can. They want to change a wait time, they can. They learn how to like design and tweak the system after we're done while we're doing it. And so the cool thing about that is it's, especially even if you're brand new to CRMs, by the time we finish, it's so much less intimidating to use the system because number one, it's designed literally for your business specifically. It's custom. I've never made a system in the hundreds of systems I've made that is one is equal to, is the same version of the other. They're all different. They're all custom to the person's business. Another thing, you're less intimidated by something you see built in front of you. You're not like, ooh,
Right.
I don't want to press this automation or it might do something and cause a big mess. No, it's built in front of you with you. So that type of thing, we've gotten a lot of great feedback on it. So
I think it's a good component of this because a lot of companies sell this and then they make money with ongoing fees, like a service contract. So you have to pay monthly so that they can come and fix stuff for you when it breaks. When you're just doing it for them, and then showing them behind the curtain underneath the hood. So if they need to tweak something, they can, and they don't have to go and get some expensive consultant or you to fix it for them. They know how to do it. No,
right,
no service
exactly.
contract.
Nope, none needed. And also, I let people, if you're using it and a couple weeks later, a month later, you get a weird little glitch and bug. Honestly, I just go in there and I'll fix it for people. Like I'll never leave people high and dry. Like, oh, this thing broke. I don't know how to use this.
Yeah.
Come to me. Like that's beyond the service. That's just like come to me. We had that interaction. We did this thing together. We built this experience. Come to me and I'll help you.
Awesome. Well, this is an amazing offer, you guys. We'll send out these links to you via email as well. But here's everything right now in the chat. There's the links there to schedule your consulting call. That's the last one. It says nanoscape.org/Benson. That's the free audit. The first one, nanoscape.org/service page, is where you go to make the purchase. Make sure you use the promo code Omni500 to get the $500 off the full package. And there's going to be some other stuff there that you can potentially get as well. I'm sure there's someone there to answer questions for you if you do have questions. But if you use Omni 5, that'll give you an additional 5% off of those alternate services, not what we showed you tonight. So thank you again, Mahmoud, for the great presentation and just sharing all this with people, opening up their eyes to what's possible if they use an automated follow-up system, and all that money that is just falling through the cracks. It's absolutely insane. So don't let that money fall through the cracks, you guys. Use the system, something like it. At least go talk to Mahmoud and do the audit. Like that will probably open your eyes up to some other things that are happening in your overall business, and maybe possibly why you're not getting the results that you want. I mean, there's a reason why you're here tonight, right? You're not getting the results that you want, and so how are you going to fix it? And I think that Mahmoud's experience in systems can help you do that. Everybody, thank you so much for being here this evening. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Take care, everybody.